Hey, it's me, Tezcatlipoca, and I am doing a video review on Onyx Equinox. I know I did a first part, but this second part is me watching the whole series. Took me a little longer because I was doing maybe an episode every other week, and then the whole other half got dropped. So it's like, okay, I guess I'll watch a video at least once a week and then let that digest in my mind. And the best way to describe it is, imagine if Mel Gibson did an anime. I will say that's the best way to describe it. You know, it looked like some person just grabbed a encyclopedia, just like Mel Gibson did, and just threw everything together, without understanding the context, or putting things that shouldn't be there, or stuff like that. So overall, anime was okay. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. You know, not the best one, but not the worst. And I've seen a lot of worse, and I've seen a lot of animes, and maybe I'm too old school. Like I guess I'm like, you know, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, those old school ones, Voltron, you know. But it was okay. I had to write a whole paper here, almost a whole page of things about this whole anime, because I feel like I'm going to forget thoughts or ideas here. I'll bring positives once in a while. But to me, I feel like beyond that, other than feeling like Mel Gibson, I also feel like the creators were assuming a lot of things. So you could tell they had some ideas from Roman and Greek mythology, along with Mystery Cities of Gold. I don't know if you've seen that anime, but as a kid I saw it. It feels kind of like that, you know, especially with the ending where there's the old Olmec technology, just like in Mystery Cities of Gold, where there's old Olmec technology. So I was like, damn, do these guys watch that? You know, like I had that thought, you know. Looks were generic, and I think that was a negative thing, because you'll see like Zapotec and Maya and then Aztec, I want to say. But then you couldn't tell who's what. And then it's just that, I would say, that white generic thing where they all understood each other without having a translator or being bilingual. It's like, oh, you know. And sometimes you have to look online and be like, okay, I don't even know if that was supposed to be this or that. So you have to look and you're like, oh, okay, it makes more sense. But I didn't see it in the anime, but somehow in the notes online for the anime, they did have it. So I'm like, if it confused me, imagine a common person, okay? So yeah, like in the first village, it's supposed to be Zapotec, and then they don't say it, they don't do anything to show that it was. They mention it once, but then you go to Maya villages, and you know, they look the same, generic, and you couldn't distinguish them. I guess another thing I thought was weird was that the teteohs, you know, the gods, as American culture likes to bring them up as, were weak against Obsidian, you know. Yet, Yaotl, which they say it a weird way on the anime, like Yaotl or something, like, I don't know how they pronounce it. It was just weird. I'm like, okay, these guys did not take a language, or at least had we call it a accent coach, you know, in it. And so even though Yaotl had the obsidian mirror images on his sides, which I thought was weird. I'm like, they're supposedly allergic to that stuff, but then he has the iconic things. But then I think they confused, at least the creators, I think they confused it for shields. I don't know. It was a weird thing, at least me looking at it. I'm like, well, the side ones are supposed to be Tezcatlipoca's obsidian foot, which I thought that was weird. I'm like, okay, you know. I don't know. It was one of those weird things. You look and you're like, okay, I understand, but you're using the iconography wrong, you know. But yeah, Tezcatlipoca is supposed to have an obsidian foot. He didn't have one. So I thought this was kind of weird. Let's see. And then Yaotl is another name for Tezcatlipoca, which was interesting that they used it when they go in the flashback. Concept was good, but Mexicans didn't really believe in Tezcatlipoca. That's other Nahuatl villages outside of Tenochtitlan. Maybe Tlatelolco, but overall, that was the weirdest thing. But yeah, Mexicans didn't believe in Tezcatlipoca. Other communities do, and that's how we know about Tezcatlipoca, because most of the writings are from Nahuas from Tenochtitlan. Like I would say most knowledge is from people from Tlatelolco that you see writings about. Like if you read it, you see it. Like usually when you see other Nahuas talk about Huitzilopochtli, like, yeah, the Mexicans believed in it, and this is what we know, So we have, I think to me that's, I guess, the confusion, I think, on writings. I don't know, but that's, I think, was the weird thing about the flashbacks and stuff like that. The whole ceremony stuff, I would say they did go based on the text, but I feel like they kind of reference a lot of it from that Aztec book from that Gary guy. I forget his name, but that I feel like most of the references and ideas they got from that book and not really actual texts. Let's see what else I have here. Yaotl, Axolot, and Xolot. They pronounce it weird. Like I said, just need a accent coach or language coach, linguistics, someone, some expert in that field. Because they'll be like, you could tell everyone was pronouncing it differently on each actor said it differently. And you're like, okay. Like, you could tell these people are just reading it and not interacting with each other. Be like, okay, that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. And then everyone kind of goes with that. But you could tell it was not done that way. And then Geek, another character, and it is a Tecpat. But then they gave him a Mayan name, which was kind of weird. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Tecpats are Nahuatl type, I would say especially Mexica type mythology stuff, not really Mayan, but he had a Mayan name. And that was another weird thing. A lot of monsters are based on, I guess, their own, I don't know. It looked like there was a lot of creative stuff. Like, I feel like the other cartoon I could think of that has a lot of Nahuatl mythology is Victor and Valentino. Interesting cartoon. They have a lot of monsters from the codices, modern, and then regions near, I would consider the Aztec world. But for some odd reason, Onyx Equinox decided to just make their own monsters. And then on top of that, they made Zanaya like I would call it an Aztec spawn, which was the weirdest thing. Because it's spawn, but Aztec. She was just going that weird way. When they went to Mictlan, I did like it, but they kind of confused going to Mictlan as being Mictlan itself. And I think that's a weird part. Another thing. Mitancasiwat looked like a mix between Mitancasiwat and La Catrina, which was kind of weird. Like, there'll be some things where you're like, okay, like, kind of get it from the codex, but then they went all Catrina, which I think a lot of most white people like to go reference with Day of the Dead, which is the weirdest thing I think of all. Like, I know La Catrina is from Posada, which was criticizing rich people for being kind of dead to the poor, And then you had Diego Rivera kind of going with that idea and modernizing it for his time. But yeah, that was just the weirdest thing. Characteristics with the Tisimis, I did like the sound they made, but I feel like they mixed Tisimis with Cihuateteos, which are two different entities. Tisimis existed before humanity. Cihuateteos existed after humanity. And because I'm saying they go to the Mictlan, they kind of they take the kid, and I think they were trying to go with Zapotec on that part, you know. I'm like, well, Tisimis don't go to Mitlan. Teteohs do go because they had to bring the sun down in mythology. And I think that's where they got the mixed mythology with it. Because you see, the flashback has that stuff, and you're like, I think you're mixing it up again. And then on top of that, a little bit worried about the end, because I believe when they show spoiler here. I feel like they had Moctezuma, but you couldn't tell because they just got very generic. So I feel like they're going to defeat all the stuff going on. At least I feel like that's what's going to happen. Like they had the gods talking to, which I believe was Moctezuma, which means you're practically, I guess, once that second series, if it does, second season does appear, it's going to be that, and then maybe the third season is going to be the conquest with all the gods already defeated or weak, which I feel like it's going to be dumb. Because I'm saying there's like, to me, I feel like the conquest is always one thing everyone focuses on, even though that's 3 years. I'm saying everything afterwards is about 5 years, literally. I'm saying 2021 is practically the 500 years since that happened. But then you have thousands of years of history to go on, and I guess no one really cares about it, even though it could be practically almost like Game of Thrones. Like if you know the kingdoms, who was conflicted with who, pretty much it's pretty much Game of Thrones. You had all these kingdoms just trying to figure out who wants to be top dog. But no, everyone focuses on the end as though that's the most important part, you know. I'm like, yes, we exist, you know, and that's the aftermath. And to people, that's their origin. But then you have thousands of years more of history before that. So I don't know. I guess that's just me as a person in their opinion. But that's my overall review on Onyx Equinox. Hopefully you guys can give me your opinions and thoughts about it. Anyway, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.